Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Sessions with Courtenay Pollock. Hey, Courtney, how's it going?
Great,
Good.
wonderful, thank you.
Excellent. So, I love the piece that we have behind us. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
It's called Fall Phantasm. It's done in the autumn of last year. Lovely colors, unusual combinations of colors.
I love the purple in it.
The purple. There's a lot of purple
Yeah.
and gold creating the browns.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it's alive with all kinds of highlights of color, and I love it. It's an unusual piece. It's a really different kind of palette. But anyway, there it is for your
Enjoyment while we carry on with the next stage of Courtney's life. After Egypt, things get pretty exciting. So we're going to carry on. Enjoy.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
So we're returned from Egypt, and I have an immediate goal to I built a model pyramid, just the corners and a capstone that I could meditate in or do stuff in, and it was to scale, perfectly to scale, the correct angles and everything, and I'd made pyramid lampshades, all kinds of stuff, little pyramid hats, but nothing would be like the real thing. But it was just a little. Now, just to put a better timeline perspective on things, I'd mentioned the bakery coffee shops. Well, these happened actually right after we got back from Egypt, and MG and decided, that Garcia's he's destined to just be back in town and be near the studio and the office, and and not be out there on a limb, in spite of the family and all that stuff, so they sold a house, and of course she was still owning the Foggy Mountain Baker cafe, and she sold it to me. I was staying there. I'm local, and I gave a story of that, making everything big and better, and we really commanded the customers, around the area, all the workers, and because first and only specialty coffees, and great stuffed croissants and bear claws and all this stuff, bigger and better than ever. And of course I charged more, but they were all organic and everything. It was like such a success. Anyway, things have changed somewhat, and I'd gotten the Bank of America building, opened the second one, and things are really rolling along. Well, I'm doing a lot of things. I had cleared an area on the hillside of my property, 15 acres up there, and my friend Randy Hughes, who was the guy that was instrumental in putting the 3-day rock festival together in Syracuse, New York, and the one that invited me, or sent his girlfriend Judith in their beautiful Citroen down to pick me up on a magical mystery tour from Syracuse and drive me all the way to Vermont to the 500-acre farm without telling me her name or where we were going or anything. It was just we talked about everything and anything except where we're going, what it's all about, but this beautiful woman in this beautiful car, what am I going to say, just drop me off anywhere? Anyway, so that he was instrumental in building these beautiful counters in the new Bank of America building, and he financed that. And so that story I've already told you. But have this going on, and by now I have 33 girls, local women employed in the 2 coffee shop bakeries, which is the biggest employment around out there, and I'm paying them well too. And of course, I look after them well, and so things are going great. And also we're catering Bill Graham local gigs, you know, for Grateful Dead and stuff like that. And out of the bakeries. And so I cut out this patch on the hillside, and Randy Hughes, that I was talking about, I got waylaid myself. He had gone to Afghanistan, and he came back with these seeds like little birds' eggs, and we grew these plants. I grew these plants, and you know, I had to, you know, sex females out, and I planted, and I had these, you know, I created these holes that were 4 feet diameter and 4 feet deep, and I layered them in all kinds of different composting materials, and that would break down at different rates and create heat and warm the soil. And I planted the plants maybe, you know, 12 inches below soil level, and I planted the plants and had all of the, you know, fine tilth and nutrients in there, and I covered it with black plastic. And after a couple of weeks, and the plants are just responding like crazy, and pull up the plastic, and it's all white roots underneath, just, you know, and all this moisture that's condensing underneath the black plastic. It's just almost like drinking off it. So, and then I put another 4 inches of soil, cover it with plastic, and every 10 days or so, I'd pick it up, all these white roots. So I had this block of white roots, you know, like, and it's like a lovely temperature, you know, it's warming, it's breaking down there. And honestly, it was a fantastic setup. And every one of these plants was just, I mean, they all grew about the same rate and the same, but when it came to they started to bloom, of course, later on, they were all different color crystal. There was silver, and there was amber, and there's amethyst, and there's just all of these nuances of color of crystal. Absolutely fabulous. And they were like crystal, like glass shards. You'd shake it and it would tinkle and they would fall off. It was absolutely amazing. Never seen anything like it. And when it came down to time to, and the other thing I did, I had kept some males aside in the other end of the property, and took pollen from the strongest ones. And I had 2 different males, and I had all of these females. And my game plan was to develop a seed bank, and it may have been the first seed bank idea ever back then. And I had I had a family tree, and I had names, of course, and I was hybridizing. And when it came time to harvest, I had 1 branch on each plant that were seeded. You know, I painted it's like painting the roses in Alice in Wonderland, you know, painting the roses red, painting them white, painting whatever. You know, painting them, you're pollinating them. You pollinate 1 branch on each plant with this particular males or that male, and I had that whole family tree and named them. And so when they matured, I had a branch that was full of seeds, and the rest of it is all Cincimean, which is without seed. So my plan was, you know, so I had all of this wonderful pot, and I dried it. Goldie actually helped me. It was the labor of this, and it was you know, it's my venture, but she helped out. Because it was a partnership that we had planned, you know, so that she could help on the labor and cultivation. She'd grown outdoors too, and it was very successful. So anyway, when we came to market it, I would, you know, it was just, we weren't wholesale marketing. We were just marketing ounces to the band, to the crew, to the office, to, you know, other band members, people down in Hollywood, all these different connections. So the going price the top price for an ounce of pot back then was like $70. That was the best pot there was like $70 an ounce. I was charging 300 US back in 79. So the reason that I put such a high price on it was because out of this 1 branch of seeds, you know, I would take a bud which is full of seeds, and there'll be like, a dozen or more seeds in that bud. And I'm selling them genetics so they can grow this stuff. Well, people were paying $300 an ounce, and they were coming back in no time at all. I'll take all you've got. And I said, I'm only selling single ounces, and, so do you like the seeds? They said, I could care less about the seeds. I'll pay anything just for the smoke. So my whole idea of selling seeds was like, nobody cared. Only me cared. I was thinking I was going to, proliferate this, wonderful genetics all over the place. Everybody's going to be growing it, and it's going to be, really change the game. Nobody cared. They just wanted to smoke really good pot. Nobody had seen anything like it. It was probably like, a decade later, all the hybridized stuff. It was still, to my memory, the best pot I ever smoked. And of course, it was all organic and fabulous outdoor. All these different colors of crystal, shards of crystal. Oh my God, so good. And so I started my seed bank and started developing that. And the following year I had all these different plants going on. And I had 200 odd plants, and I was going to have, tens of thousands of seeds, all, and with a family tree, and with the different qualities of those particular plants, and the color of the crystal and all this stuff. It's like, Anyway, that's one of the things I had going. But the other thing is that the moment I got back from Egypt, and I'm sitting in my little pyramid, and I'm channeling intelligence about the pyramid, because I have all this. When I was there, it was all experiential, and I understood I wasn't going to understand anything while I was there. It was all about experiencing the energy and bringing in the energy. And later, if I'm really fortunate, I will transmit this intelligence onto paper. I get information. My idea was, and I had kind of developed this while I was at the pyramid, was all the different stations of journey through the Great Pyramid. They were like, these stations of journey they had a value, and they were part of the quest. It's like a journey of initiation. And I ultimately wrote these all these stanzas, 13-line stanzas in Old English. It was, I wished I hadn't lost it. It was absolutely fabulous. Writings about the journey through the Great Pyramid as an initiatory sequence. And when I finished it, I looked at it and I suddenly realized, well, that's the Tarot. It's the Fool to the Magi. It's it's exactly that, without any reference to books or any kind of anything. This just came through, and it transmitted through me as this sequence of events and stations of journey, and they were major arcana, major stations. It was all absolutely exactly parallel to the Tarot. Absolutely fabulous. And so I was so intent on this, transmitting this intelligence, and also writing, like poems and stuff that were. So at the very end of everything, I had to condense something into like a 1-minute poem for a presentation about, and so I'm out in the parking lot, trying to, because I can remember this is why I'm saying it. And the poem I wrote was, and so, Great Pyramid, presence of yet incommensurate intelligence, tells story of journey, a legend of mythos. We see the import of fine masonry, encumbered as we are by our own expectations. We see Great Pyramid in light of contrived deal, and so we are here now, dealing our lives. Become until the form of pyramid does make your comprehension reach to one, folding ourselves. So that was like a précis of, you know, the thrust of it. I mean, it's very simplified, of course, but so anyway, I was caught up with all this work and the bakeries and and then the all kinds of stuff going on, and I was having 2 hours sleep a night. One of the things along the way, I have this friend, Thomas Roy. He was born on the same day as me, and he had a band, you know, that developed in the late 60s, around the time the Grateful did, and he was kind of not in competition, but he was on that scene at that time, and he was really bizarre, out there, avant-garde rock stuff. You know, it didn't really come to anything, but even, you know, the people that were like really successful remember, you know, this guy had amazing stuff. Anyway, he was instrumental in my life in a number of ways, and I'll reveal some of them later on. I went to a party at his house in Stinson Beach. He had one of these houses that was built into the side of a cliff by this amazing architect that did, you know, several buildings like this in Stinson Beach. It was literally carved out of the hillside, and it had a waterfall that came through the house down the rock face. It was just amazing. And so I'm in the grand entertainment room, and everybody's off somewhere in the house, and I come in, you know, and there's this beautiful sitar just sitting on the carpet. So I sit down by the sitar, and I'd seen, you know, sitar played on videos and stuff. So I sit across my leg over, and I got the sitar, and I strum the sitar, and then I hit a few strings and strum it again and hit a few more strings, and then suddenly I've got this whole movement going on, and I have to fulfill this movement, and I literally improvise this whole movement, and it's probably 20 minutes, and I'm just like the harmonics and feeling and da-da-da, remembering what I did and da-da-da, and it's not complex, and you know, but it's like it's chords of music that had a harmonics and overtones and all this stuff that had a whole cycle. And I finally finished the whole, what would be called like a slow raga or something, you know. And I open my eyes, and everyone in the house is all sitting around. And I'm, they all all snuck around, they sat down. And it was like the first time I'd ever picked up a sitar, and Thomas looks at me and he said, "You're going to take that home with you, it's yours now." Wow.
Whoa.
This sitar, and so I of course I took it home gratefully, and every day I'd play it in my little pyramid, and I'd also blow flute and do toning. But I had the Bank of America building with this Sweets from Baldwin walk-in cast iron safe that embedded in concrete in the bank, which was my harmonics room. I'd go in there and play sitar, blow flute, do toning. I'd come out, you know, after an hour or so, and everybody in the restaurant would just be buzzed. They'd be all be like, eventually that sitar, I found out that it should never have left India. It was priceless, and I donated it to the Ali Akbar Khan School of Music in Marin County. You know, returned it to people that could, you know, do reverence to such a phenomenal instrument. But I got to play it for a year. Anyway, so.
Okay.
All right. So one of the characters that I had heard about for a long time, this fellow was called, you know, his nickname was Goldfinger, And he had been a pot smuggler, back in the early days, and he was the father of Nikki Scully's first child, Spirit, Acacia, and he was inside for. He'd gotten busted. Something that he'd been set up. He was coming back into the United States in a twin prop plane, and the feds were waiting for him. And they, surrounded the plane. It's coming in. He comes down off down the steps, and all these, he's like, and the plane is like, the pilot's like, I don't know where the pilot is, but the props are still running, and the plane is slowly revolving, spinning, and Goldfinger's, and the prop comes around, takes his hand off, and the back of his head, zips the back of his head, and he's like laid out on the runway, and he still had the presence of mind with his back of his skull split wide open and his hand cut off at the wrist, to tell this guy who was with, get the drugs off me and get rid of them. So I'm not, so when they took him into hospital, of course, but prison hospital, and they really, he ended up doing 4 years, but he could have been doing 40. I don't know, pot was a big deal back then, a really big deal in the United States, as I can testify later on. I'd always believed pot was just, it's way better than alcohol. It didn't, they weren't the problems that came along. People got happy, they got this, that, and the other. They got consciousness too. It was a great thing. There were no deaths from marijuana, not like there had been from other stuff, and certainly alcohol. And anyway, so I was always a proponent of pot, and I grew it, outdoors and stuff. Anyway, he just gotten out. I was in this cafe in San Francisco with Rock Scully, which was Nikki's, second partner, actually, coincidentally, and and Rock was, the Grateful Dead's, original manager from the early days, and he's still, working in the office, and Rock's a great guy. We're having a great time just hanging out. He said, Goldfinger's out, and I told him we're going to be here. So there's this character walks in, with a stump of an arm, and he's a big kind of red-headed Irishman, O'Connell, and he's like, so I'd heard about him. I knew he was a heavy-duty kind of guy. Anyway, we got along great. And now I'm involved. I have stuff going on with pot. It's not like I'm growing it. I'm growing it, but I have contacts. And he wants to get started again. Prison didn't do anything to, to persuade him against the dangers of dealing with, contraband. Far from it. So anyway, I set up a buy. He sets up a buy. I get the money. I collected up 120,000 US cash, and I have a pilot who is my friend that was a bulldogging champion from the early days I mentioned. Rick, he's got his own plane. It's a 1947 Stinson, and single prop. It's it's classic, real classic. But so I said, well, I had him on retainer to fly stuff around for me, and we're going to go down LA way and pick up some stuff. And so he we meet up and we go off in the plane. I've got the money. Goldfinger's got the contacts down there, and I don't really know what my part of the deal was, except I was putting all the money up and all the risk. And well, Rick says, well, we don't have anything working on the plane. You know, the plane flies just fine, but we don't have any, you know, communications lines. We don't have anything, you know. But I'm just going to follow the I-5 down and follow it back, and then land in, you know, our little Noss field in Novato here. It's a little 6-light, you know, 200-meter landing strip. Anyway, we get down there, and Goldfinger is supposed to be gone for half an hour. He's gone way longer than that. He comes back with these. Now it's dark. The fog has come in. We're in this plane without instrumentation, and we're up flying, and Rick's getting really twitchy. And I said, "What's up, Rick? What's going on?" He said, "Well, I don't know where we are. I was like, thought this was a daylight gig. You know, there's fog below us. I can't see the freeway. We could be 100 miles out of the ocean. You know, I don't know where we are, and we're going to run out of gas." And my brain goes into gear, and I don't know anything about navigation, but get the maps and you know, what's our speed, wind speed, you know, direction, and I said, okay, we're going to head for the lights of Sacramento, and then plot a route to our Noss field, which is what we did. And we finally, you know, see the lights of Sacramento, this immense, you know, city, you know, capital of California, shining through the fog. And then I plot a route to Noss field, which is another hour and so flying time from there. And Rick's like, what's going on? Where are we? And I said, well, I don't know. You're flying the plane, but we should be on course for, you know, for Noss field. He said, well, we're on fumes. We're out of gas. And I said, well, to start your descent, we should be, you know, if the gods are with us. Sure enough, we came through the ceiling of fog, and we were 200 feet, and there's the runway. And it's lined right up underneath us, and then we ran out of gas, and we're just gliding, and we touched down. Talk about being in the hands of the gods. It was like, you know, this wasn't just dead reckoning. This was the hands of the angels. It was quite the amazing thing. And we land, and Goldfinger and I get off, and, you know, we bring the truck up to unload and load the truck, and Rick, you know, gets the airplane in the hangar, and Goldfinger looks at me and he says, I just want you to know that you just saved our lives, and we'll never talk of this again, ever. But I just want you to acknowledge that and let you know that I know, and I owe you. I said, well, I owe me too. I said, I don't know, I had help somewhere. And that was a, you know, end of an amazing little episode. Mm-hmm. Right.
That was awesome.
Fly by night. Dead reckoning.
Awesome. Thanks, Courtney. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. And remember, like and subscribe so you can see us every Sunday. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.